You know, it all starts with the next generation. People just like these culinary students in Rwanda. They're not just learning how to cook. Nope. They're learning how to build businesses, how to support their families, and really how to create a whole new future for their communities. And that's where our story really begins.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick things off by meeting the people making this change happen. Then, we'll look at the actual skills they're teaching. After that, we'll uncover this incredible story about gender equality, see how whole communities are built to last, and finally, we'll wrap it up by looking at the staggering impact. By the numbers.
All right, so who's the driving force behind all this? Well, it's the Planning and Development Office, or the PDO. This is the organization on the ground, working across 3 different nations to really empower individuals and their communities.
What I think is so cool here is how their logo actually tells the whole story. You can see the focus on family, the globe, and that graduate reaching for a star. Their mission is crystal clear. Give people the practical tools they need to land good jobs and build their own sustainable lives.
So, how does a mission like that actually turn into action? Well, it all comes down to practical skills, the kind of hands-on skills that lead directly to a job, to self-sufficiency. This, right here, is the heart of what the PDO does.
And this is a perfect illustration of the kind of training we're talking about. On one hand, you've got these essential trades like auto mechanics, the stuff that keeps local economies literally moving. And on the other hand, you've got students training in solar technology. I mean, that's a direct investment in a green, sustainable future. It's this fantastic mix of the traditional and the truly cutting edge.
Now, here's the crucial part. These aren't just random courses. This is what you'd call a market-first approach. These are all state-accredited programs in fields where there's huge demand. Think masonry, tailoring, culinary arts, even informatics. That strategic focus means that when these students graduate, there are actual jobs waiting for them, because the training was designed to fill a real need.
And just how effective is this training? Get this, a 100% success rate. Every single student at the Don Bosco Mahazi Center finished their program and got their official certification. A number like that just speaks volumes about the quality of the teaching and the sheer dedication of everyone involved.
But inside this bigger story, there's an even more focused story of transformation. It's an initiative called Gender Matters for Green TVET. And that TVET stands for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, and it's all about completely rewriting the role of women in skilled trades.
Which of course brings us to a huge question. How do you actually go about breaking down these stereotypes that have been in place for generations to encourage young women to step into trades that have always been seen as for men?
You do it just like this. You create a welcoming environment and you provide hands-on training for young women in fields like plumbing or masonry or electricity. You show them that these careers are 100% within their reach.
Now, to really understand the scale of what they've accomplished, just think about this number. In one particular school in Rwanda, before this program started, there were only 9 female students enrolled in these technical courses. Just 9.
And after, that number jumped to 98. I mean, just let that sink in. That's not just an increase, that's a total transformation of the classroom and honestly of the whole community's mindset. We're talking about a more than 10-fold increase here. It's incredible.
And this is the end result. Look at them, proud, confident graduates. They're not just leaving with skills, they're leaving with starter toolkits and business training so they can launch their own companies. They're becoming the role models for the next generation of girls right behind them. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit, because this work, it isn't just about individual jobs. It's about building the very foundation of sustainable communities that can thrive for the long term.
And they're doing that through projects like sustainable farming, which improves nutrition for families and schools, and even beekeeping initiatives in areas that have huge potential for honey production. These things create both food security and totally new ways for people to earn an income.
But, of course, this kind of work is never easy. Let's be real. The path to progress is always full of obstacles. In Burundi, for example, their construction projects have to deal with everything from funding problems and fuel shortages to rising inflation and just really difficult roads.
But, and this is the whole point, despite all of those challenges, the progress doesn't stop. You can see it with your own eyes. Buildings are going up, communities are getting involved, and the work just keeps moving forward, one resilient step at a time.
So, when you add all of this up, what's the grand total? What's the cumulative effect of all this hard work? Let's finish up by looking at the impact by the numbers, because that's where you can really measure this incredible ripple effect. Let's just start with this massive number. Over 35,000.
That is how many community members they reached through awareness campaigns about things like gender equality and inclusion. That is a huge shift in public thinking.
And beyond just awareness, hundreds of young people got directly involved. We're talking 268 students joining green clubs, 313 in gender clubs, and another 95 adolescent girls who got support after they graduated to make sure they succeeded.
And just look at the actual tangible resources they handed out. 58 toolkits to help start businesses, 48 scholarships to keep students in school who might have otherwise dropped out, and 172 internships to give them that crucial real-world experience. These aren't abstract ideas. These are direct investments in people's futures.
But as we look at all this amazing data, it is so important to remember this one thing. Every single number represents a human story, a person whose entire life has been changed, a family that now has a much brighter future, and a community with a whole new sense of hope. Which really just leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? What happens when you stop seeing communities as problems that need to be solved and you start seeing them as people who just need to be invested in? Well, this explainer gives us the answer. They go on and build their own future.